Today we got a special guest in the house. I'm so glad we actually got to pull you away, from your work.
Wow, I'm glad to be here, man.
So Pastor Chris Merz, location pastor here at City First Church. And how you doing today, man?
Oh, man, I'm doing great. It's been a busy week. I cannot believe how fast this week has gone, but it's been amazing. It's been so good. How about you?
Oh, it's been a great week. Same thing with me, man. You know how it is. We're super busy here. What's been pretty cool, recently we've been getting a lot of influx from these new boot camp things that we've been doing.
Yeah.
Like, just $30 a month, 30-day trial, and people are just like, oh, let's try this out. So it's been pretty cool. Having new faces in, always cool to see new people, try new things. It's really fun, especially since it's Halloween. So
yeah, man. It's great when you do new things like that. People get here, and then once they get here, they're like, oh, I belong here. Like, this is what I should
Absolutely, do. Man. Absolutely. So I wanted to, before I even get back into your background or anything, I was so curious on this because, I do the podcast. It doesn't really bother me. And I've been, in pressure situations and things like that. But, like, speaking in front of a crowd, you had a message this past Sunday. And it was a great message about loving your enemies, right? And just maybe, like, walk me through. Do you do anything before you get on stage to speak? Like,
Sure.
in front of people?
Absolutely.
Like what's the mindset going into that?
Well, first of all, man, anytime, like, especially as a pastor, like, anytime you speak in front of people, there's always mind games that happen. There's always things that go through your head. There's always insecurities that pop up, no matter what it is. But when you're a pastor, there's also, like, this spiritual aspect to it that you also have to battle. Like, there's always going to be things that pop into your head. There's always going to be doubts. You're like, is what I have to say good? Does that actually matter? Are these people going to get it? Am I going to sound like I should? Like, all of these things pop in your head. So the biggest thing I do before I communicate, actually, yes, in big crowds, but also one-on-one. Anytime I try to communicate or have a meeting, I pray, man. I take a second and I just invite God into that, because the biggest goal is to not have my words be heard, but to have God's words be heard. So if I pray and I say, God, speak through me. Allow my words to be your words. Allow the wisdom that I have to be your wisdom, because I want to point people in the right direction. And I want God to actually use me to point people in the right direction. If I do that on my own power, it's going to be wrong every single time.
Sure.
But if I pray and I just invite God into that, it goes 10 times better every single time. I can actually see a huge difference in what I do when I pray and when I don't pray.
So it's almost like, taking your control off the situation, like, mentally, and giving it to God is kind of like that ease of all the thoughts of going, oh, I don't know if my message is important.
Yep.
I don't know if I'm the guy to give the message. What are some people going to think about this? Am I going to say the right thing? All those kind of things tie into the same thing, and it just kind of, like, not really disappears, but you kind of overcome. It's like an obstacle. You kind of, like, just boop and leap down.
Man. Because think about it this way, you can 100% relate. This is how we look at it as in our church, through our leadership. We say prepare like 100% counts on you, but pray like it counts 100% on God. And when you do those two things, you're usually successful. Just because you pray doesn't mean you have to work your tail off. Just because you pray doesn't mean you don't have to do the research. Just because you pray doesn't mean you don't have to read or ask people questions or seek out help. You still have to do all those things, and you're still going to be busy. But you have to pray like it depends all on God. And when those two things happen, like, it talks about doing your due diligence in the Bible. Like, I can't just get up there on a Sunday and be like, all right, God, what you got for me?
Yeah.
Like, you have to prepare and ask God to meet you right where you are. No different with the athletes, man. It's the same thing.
Well, right. You got to work as hard as you expect God to, right? So, like, if I have an athlete come in here and I'm not up to my game and I'm not running the correct way and I'm tripping over my own 2 feet, it's going to be like, what are you teaching me?
Exactly.
Am I going to listen to you, or what's this?
Well, it's just like the leader of anything. How many times do you see a fat personal trainer?
Right.
Like, it's like, if I'm off my game, how do I expect anybody that comes to our church to be doing the right thing?
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm human. I'm imperfect. I make mistakes all the time. But I'm always working on myself. I'm always asking God to work on me. And I can't expect anybody that goes to our church to not to do those things if I'm not willing to do it myself. So you're a perfect example of that here. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. Yeah, I feel like it's almost like don't practice what you preach, and also I like to have the knowledge behind me. Like if someone comes in here and they're dealing with an ailment, 9 times out of 10, it's happened to me too. So having that knowledge of like, oh wow, I've been through this
Sure.
before. I'm sure you can relate in a pastoral way. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I've been through this in my life before in a different way, but I've been through it. So
Yeah.
I know what you're feeling. I get the pain.
Totally.
And mine's more muscular, but yeah, I get the pain and the ailments and stuff. So I got you. We're gonna figure this out.
Yep. You can relate everything back to Scripture. If you
So
know
true.
the Bible, if you know the Word of God, you know what Jesus has said and done, and the purpose of it. Almost every single human situation and circumstance that we go through, we can relate back to Him and how He would handle that, and that's what we try to do.
Wow. Yeah. No. So true. So, usually I come to something like this, and go start in the beginning where where you're from and everything. So since we kind of skipped
Sure.
all that, where are you from, man?
Oh, man. Yeah,
Go
so-
back to the childhood.
Oh, back to the child. I'm
Back
a
to the
Buckeye,
childhood.
man. I'm from Ohio,
Woo!
Ohio. Yeah, man. I'm so glad that college football
How'd they
just
do this
started
year?
for us.
How are they doing this year?
Oh, we're 1-0, but
That's a good start.
the Big Ten decided to be sissies and they stopped. They delayed. Up north in the Midwest, these guys they were so scared of COVID. and
Excuses, right?
Yeah, so apparently, but I'm glad they finally started. So we got football going. So I was born and raised in Ohio. When I was a freshman in high school, my family, we were part of a ministry. We moved down south, so we moved to Orlando. Went to high school and college in Orlando. I'm a graduate of UCF.
Okay.
The whole time I went to college, I just wanted to be a firefighter, bro.
Really?
That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to be a firefighter the whole time, man.
So before you skip high school and get into college, what did you play any sports like growing up?
Oh, heck yeah,
What'd
bro.
you do?
So, sports runs in our family. Like my uncle, he was drafted into the MLB. Then he got cancer in his arm, actually.
Oh, my goodness.
So he couldn't play anymore. He actually still deals with that to this day.
No way.
Oh man, he had an arm on him. My dad too. He was a stud in high school, basketball, baseball.
Wow.
He got a scholarship to Ohio State. He played at Ohio State.
No way.
Yep.
Buckeye all the way. Let's
dude,
go.
that's bleed scarlet and gray, man.
I love it.
So that's why we're Buckeyes, not just because we were born and raised in Ohio.
Well, that's good.
My dad played there.
There's a reason. Okay.
Yeah. So and-
no big deal.
Yeah. And so when I was in high school, I played a lot of soccer, played some baseball, played a lot of basketball. When I moved my later years in high school, my school actually didn't have football, but I was a quarterback before we moved. I used to love that stuff. I have an arm like my dad does. I didn't pick up baseball like my dad though.
Okay.
I didn't enjoy it as much as him.
So what did you like the most, like as far as sports
I
wise?
love
Football?
football. I love
football
hitting
was your
people.
thing, right? Just
Yeah.
not getting in trouble for it.
Exactly. I love football and I enjoyed basketball. I feel like I was naturally better at those two things too. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's also natural for you to love what you're better at. Too.
Oh my
Like,
goodness, yes.
I was pretty smart football player as well as in basketball, so those things just came natural to me.
So aside from sports, you did essentially a lot of them in high school. Other than being your senior class president, as you explained, what else did you do? Were you involved in anything else,
I
or was that
worked
just
a
kind of
lot,
like your
man.
one?
Well, I love sports. I was like school came easy to me, like the scholastic side.
Oh, okay.
I didn't really have to study too much.
Nice.
I don't know. I worked a lot.
Okay.
When you're in high school, you have that first chance to make money.
Yeah.
So I
Sure.
played sports, I worked, and that's pretty much all I did. National Honor Society, stuff like that. I think I was in the science club. I don't remember. Bro. But in high school, it was like work, sports, hanging with friends, and that's pretty much it.
Oh my goodness! So you graduate high school, going into college. You didn't do did you do athletics in college?
I didn't. I dabbled. Well, UCF it's a huge school.
Yeah, it is
So,
Division I.
There was zero chance that I was going to play a big sport at UCF because I'm not that gifted. Although when I was in high school, our soccer team went to state and we lost, but we went to state.
That's pretty awesome.
So I didn't play any sports in college. I did dabble a little bit in rowing, but
That's
it
awesome.
didn't stick. I didn't love it.
Rowing's hard.
Yeah.
Rowing's no
Holy
joke.
cow, yeah.
So basically, the whole time going through college, you were focused kind of just on being a firefighter. That was your thing.
So yeah, I mean, I was focused. I worked again. I was like
Just
in
a
college.
nonstop workaholic.
That was super easy for me too. All of the classes were easy. Got an A in everything, and I just worked. I worked a full-time job. Went to school full-time. Got done in 4 years. before I was out of college. I was already in the fire academy.
Wow.
Because that's what
That's
I wanted to
perfect.
do.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go to college.
You didn't want to?
Heck no, man. I was done with school. Because you can be a firefighter without going to college.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
But in Florida, they got the Bright Futures program. So, like I said, I did well in school. So I had a scholarship. My dad's like, there's zero chance you're not going to college.
That's
You're
funny.
going to college.
So what did you do? Did you do an AA or did you do a bachelor's?
No, I got a bachelor's.
You got a
I have a
bachelor's?
bachelor's in science and public administration. I also have another bachelor's in emergency management. I have a minor in nonprofit management.
Wow, look at you, man.
Yeah, I'm working on my
Holy
master's
smokes.
right now.
What's that master's in?
It's in theology and like church leadership.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, what made you want to do that? I mean, obviously you're a pastor now, but is that just like your sole reason, or was there further purpose for it?
Well, I always want to grow, man. Sometimes, like, I don't know. You can relate. You're the same way, man. You just always, you get bored easy.
Yeah.
And so I'm not bored at all because we're busy as all get out, like changing lives and doing big things in Cape Coral.
100%.
But at the same time, you always want to challenge yourself in one way. And I feel like as I get older, when I was younger, you're challenging yourself physically a little bit more so. And as you get older, man, I feel my body get a little bit older. I still want to challenge myself physically, but mentally, I want to continue to challenge myself.
Yeah.
Get smarter, get better, understand things a little bit more.
Sure.
And as you get older, you start to change a little bit of how you think and how you want to grow. So
Yeah, absolutely. So, coming out of college, so you're a fireman. How did you get to become a pastor? I mean, and then obviously, maybe like how the trail kind of went, and then obviously why? What was the
Sure.
mindset behind it? What made you go that route?
Sure. So like I said, always wanted to be a firefighter. So like all through college, I'm like, that's my eyes are still set on that. Even my degrees were angled towards that. And I got into fire school, finished fire school, got a job, actually the job that I wanted, and I excelled in firefighting. Like I did really well in everything. Got out of my probationary year, and I'm like, okay, what's next? I'm a firefighter.
Right.
Like, what do I do?
Always that progress.
Yeah, so I went to paramedic school, like right away. Got out of my
Perfect.
probationary year, went to paramedic school, and that's like a year while you're working full time. And I love that. I love the medical side of things, so helping people. And you love the danger side of firefighting, like breaking things, going into burning buildings, fighting wildland fires. Like that's awesome. But I really enjoyed the medical side of it because it made my mind think.
Yeah.
Like you have to think critically, on your toes, and you're in like life and death situations on a daily
You have
basis.
to be right. You have to be
And
there.
I love that. Like I love that like thrill almost.
Yep.
To be able to help people. So I did that for several years, and I loved firefighting. And honestly, the biggest thing that changed everything was having my first daughter. When we had Kinley, she's 8, so almost 9 years ago. My life changed, bro. Like my whole perspective on life changed. I can't be this thrill seeker running into burning buildings, like taking stupid chances. Like I have a wife, which I love and I'm responsible for, but she's an adult.
Right.
And if something happens to me, she can take care of herself. But now I have this daughter who's a baby, and my whole mindset like changed. Like God has gifted me with this child, and I can't be an idiot anymore.
Yeah.
Like doing stupid things. Like, not that I was always doing stupid things, but you just, as a firefighter, especially a young guy, you take some risks that you don't necessarily need to make.
Yeah.
And so we had Kinley when she was only a few months old. I feel like we took a trip up to Rockford. We were living in Orlando area, and we took a trip up to Rockford, where Abby's from, and we visited the church she grew up in.
Yep.
And while I was there, I just felt like God was like, hey, you need to be here. I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm good where I'm at. I'm good, God. But there was this ministry up there called Champions Club, ministry for kids with special needs. And I've always had a special place in my heart for those kids.
Yes, me too.
And so like that kind of tugged on my heart and my spirit. And then God was like, all right, when you coming up? I'm like, never. Like I have like the dream job.
go,
like when you become a firefighter,
everything I wanted to do.
Like I was like a year away from being invested in my retirement. I was making more money I ever made. We just bought our first house, like my dream house, bro. 2,500 square feet, ranch style, pool, like 2.5 acres, 4-post fence in an equestrian community. Like could not have asked for a better setup. Everything I wanted. And then like God just starts like planting these seeds in my heart, and I'm like, digging them out and throwing them out. I'm like, no, I don't want
good.
this.
I'm good.
I don't want to go to Rockford, Illinois. It snows up there all the time.
All the time. No, thank you.
Silly. Why would you ask me to do that? And
So
then
true.
God and I were just like battling back and forth. And then, you know, if you haven't done this yet, well, I'm sure you have, we make deals with God, right? So I'm like, God, if you do this, then I'll go. And then he does it, and I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
like, oh.
then if you do this, man, let me make it a little harder.
Yeah.
Like, and then
Let me
he's
keep
like,
trying, dude.
okay. And then like, it happens in the Bible, like prayer fleeces and stuff. Like people do that, and God answers. So then I was like, all right, if you sell our house, God, we'll go up there. It was like my final thing. And so I'm like, I'm gonna be all sly. So I marked our house up. This was
Ridiculous.
in like the slump of the real estate. So we had just bought it. We owned it for like just over a year. And so I'm like, let me just mark this sucker up. Like
Yeah.
almost like 75% more than we bought it for.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, there's no way it's gonna sell. No way. And I said, God, if you sell our house,
Always
we'll
a
go.
way.
Within 30 days,
No way.
cash asking price.
Cash at the asking price. When do you ever get that?
Exactly.
And people said God doesn't exist.
Exactly. So I'm like, crap, he did it. I'm like, now I don't have a choice.
Dude.
Like, we got to go. So we literally, bro, we didn't have jobs. We didn't have a place to stay. We packed up a truck and we moved to Illinois. Actually, I take that back. Abby had a job as an admin at the church, but you know, part-time,
Right.
not making any money. I didn't have a job. We stayed at the DTC's, which is like a little apartment for a little while. Stayed with our friends at their house for a little while until we found a place.
Yeah. Sure.
And we just moved.
Had to do what you had to do.
That's it. And that wasn't even to be a pastor, bro. That was just to, like, to follow God. Like God said,
And
be
that
obedient.
was prior to having Kinley, or
That was
after?
right after
That
we
was
had
right
Kinley.
after.
She was
That's
only a
so
few months
crazy,
old.
man. Wow.
And that's even another thing. You're like, you have to provide for
Right.
your wife and your kids.
So
and
what
you're
are you-
gonna
what are you
leave your
doing?
bread and butter. Like, there couldn't be a more stable job. Firefighter, union,
Good to go.
state.
Yep.
Like,
Good
you're
to
set
go.
for life. You can. I could retire when I was like 44 years old.
Yep, good to go. Yep.
But God said go.
And you
We
took
were
it.
obedient. We did it. It didn't make sense to anybody else, but we did it. And it wasn't to be a pastor. It wasn't to do. It was just to be a part of what God wanted us to be a part of. We were going to serve at the church and do our thing. So I actually went up there and I started applying for jobs at hospital, transport agencies, and you know me, just learning. I got up there. This is how God is. I applied for 3 jobs, got offered all 3 jobs within the first few weeks I was there, making the same amount of money, with actually a better schedule. And then they sent me back to school, and I became a critical care paramedic. And then I was up there being a critical care medic, volunteering for the church, and that's when God started to really do his
Yeah.
thing. So,
That's awesome, man.
yeah.
Wow, what a story. So you go through all that, and by the way, Champions Club, for everybody who doesn't know, City First Church, that's where you went, right, to see the
Yep.
Champions Club for the first time?
Yep.
So City First Church does a Champions Club for anybody with special needs,
Yep.
right? Anybody, and we call them special in a positive, manner.
Yeah, we call them
Because-
champions.
Champions,
Yep.
man, because they are, just the champ. Like, I mean, can you not be around those? You can't be around those kids and not have a smile on
You
your face.
can't, man. They're
Like literally.
incredible.
Like honestly, like we've talked about this prior. I really would like to set something up with them fitness-wise when this whole pandemic calms down.
Sure.
Where they can come in and enjoy like an hour or two, just hang out, have a
Yeah,
good
man.
time. Get another outlet, because I feel like those kids are like the people we need to push to become better, because they are just the picture of it's like they never get out of that innocence.
No, and they
Oh.
make us so much better, man. You
Yes.
hang around them for a little bit of time, they'll make you such a better person, bro.
And they really tell the truth.
Yes, they do.
And they don't have no qualms.
They
telling
do
the
not care, bro.
Oh my god. So you become a pastor, and I know, just like I said, it's super special to get you on today, because you guys do so much. Expect not just you, the whole church, but we talk about church as it's not just a place; it's
Yeah.
everybody, right? Just bring me through a day in the life of what you do as just a location pastor here.
Well, real quick, I'm going to tell this story real quick because it's so cool.
Go ahead.
What God does. And like, I was serving at the church. This was like, 7 years ago now? 7 years ago, I was just serving at the church, literally working my job full time, 24 on, 48 off, and just serving at the church. I started in Champions Club, just volunteering, loving it. And then my first job at the church 7 years ago was on the maintenance team. I was a maintenance worker. I was cleaning bathrooms, toilets, fixing stuff, painting things, hanging stuff, changing lights. That was my job at the church, and I was just honored to be there, to be around great people, great things, and with no ambition to do anything other than just be and help. And so that's what I was doing. And then, so that was my first job there, working like 10 hours a week on my days off. And then I got offered a job on the kids team. And I was like, I don't want to work with kids. That sounds silly. And I actually turned it down the first time. And then they came back and they're like, well, this is actually what it is, because it was like communicated differently the first time. And so then I accepted a part-time position in kids ministry. And from there on, like literally, this is what God does. If you're obedient and you work hard wherever He places you, He will advance you and change your life how He wants to do it if you just trust Him and you're obedient to Him. And that's all it was. I got into that and I was just like, all right, God, I'm going to work my tail off. Did well, then I got a full-time kids job.
Yep.
Did well there, then I started overseeing volunteers. Did well there, then I started overseeing volunteers in more areas. Then I was starting to oversee all of the church in certain areas, and then conferences. And so then eventually, a few years later, Jared's like, hey, Pastor Jared's like, let's go on a ride. I think you should pray about leading our Cape Coral location. And I'm like, what? You're crazy. And now we're here. Now it's history. 3 years next month.
Yeah, now you are the pastor.
I am. Well, it's an amazing opportunity to be able to be here. And we just, man, we got a great church.
We really do. It's nice to be around that and to attest to, God just working, me with this, how this has grown.
Yeah.
I started off with such a small, business that I bought out, had no clue what I was doing, didn't even come to the church yet. And then, entering into the church, I just realized a lot of the things that I was missing on a daily routine, and I wouldn't even call it routine, just a daily, I'm always on a to-do list, always like, gotta do this, gotta do that, and not focusing on what actually matters, because I've always been about the service and the people coming in.
Yeah.
But maybe not to the extent that maybe we could become friends and family, when I first started, where it's like, I actually know your life story, I know what's going on, and I understand that, I can make a difference in your life by you being here just for that hour or that 30 minutes or 100%. Just to talk for 10 minutes, whatever it might be, to know that you have that home to come to and just talk to somebody,
Yeah.
And that's a community I started trying to create after, being at the church with you guys and understanding what it's about. And I came to the point, a year and a half ago where we were at the ends lease of that place on Del Prado. I knew we were too big for the spot. We were starting to gain, more traction and started to get a little bit noticed. And I was like, we need to be somewhere else. And literally, I looked from January, at least end of July, literally every single day from January to June. Through June, I looked and looked and looked. There's no friggin' places. I couldn't find anything. Mind you, my wife is not pregnant yet.
Right.
Couldn't find anything. Finally, literally, I think the second or the first or second week of June, I find this place. Just randomly. Now, mind you, I'm praying about it the whole time. And I'm like, all right, when is this going to happen, you know? And then all of a sudden, this place pops up. And it just so happens to literally be 5 minutes away from my house. And I'm like, no way.
Just a coincidence.
No way. Yeah, coincidence. Yeah, exactly, right? So I contact the guy. We come in here, and he literally doesn't ask for, how to replace 3 months rent. All I had to do was put security down, and that was it, and I was in. And I was like, dude, how else does this happen?
Yeah.
It doesn't. And there's only one person that can make that happen.
That's it.
So, it's just to attest to your story, that's another story right back after it, just to show, it's so crazy what God can do in your life. Like you said, if you're just open, like, hey, I know you're doing something, even if I can't see it.
Yep.
But what's going on, and just trying to have that faith and just,
comes back to obedience.
Staying true,
time.
man.
He asks you to do it. We don't need a why.
Exactly.
That's
and staying true to what you do, because it speaks to being obedient. It also speaks to being a professional about what you do. We have kids. I only have one. You have two. So I'm sure it's just a little bit harder for you guys even now. But that doesn't mean no matter what's going on in their lives, that doesn't mean that you're not going to the church doing what you need to do.
Right.
There's so many people that count on you. Same with me. You know what I'm saying? So that's also part of it. Being obedient and actually being there every day to do what you're supposed to do what you're good at and what you can actually provide to people, not being lazy on that.
Yep.
Because, like you said, you always got to progress something. So if I'm not learning something that day, then I'm probably doing something wrong. Or if I'm not trying to create something that I'm like, oh, I'm not really sure, then I'm probably not doing it right.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Shouldn't have an easy day, unless it's just, a Sunday where we're having a great time.
Yeah, exactly.
Other than that, it's always something. And I always tell everybody with fitness, it's exactly like that too.
Yeah.
In order to go somewhere, it seems so counterintuitive, but in order to go somewhere, you always got to fight past a certain struggle.
Absolutely.
You have no choice. Because if you're not working and trying to get through a struggle, you're not growing.
You won't learn anything.
You won't learn anything, and you're not growing. That's just how it does. That's just how it works. So, for people, we were talking about Champions Club, which is a great thing we do for the community. The City First does for the community, especially, and all the people that go to City First. But as far as the community, I know you guys help. I mean, we helped with the toy drive last year. PPTC tries to get involved a little bit more now, but you guys are involved in so many more things. Maybe you could talk on that, what you guys are involved in, and then also I know you guys helped a lot throughout this pandemic, from the start of it even till now, helping the community in need. So maybe you could let people in on what's going on with City First.
One of our mottos is we're not just a friendly church, we're a family church.
Best motto.
And family, that's not just inside the four walls. It's not people that come to our church. Yes, we want them to feel like family, and they are family to me. We have another family here that's not blood, and it's our church.
Yeah.
But also, our job is to take care of the community, to love the community, to be the church outside of those four walls. Church is great. We need to do it. That's only 1 hour on Sunday.
Yep.
We need to be the church when we leave the church. And that's not just the people who come to hear the messages. That's us included as a staff, as a team, and everybody at the church. We need to be the church in the community. So we do a ton of things. We actually have a food distribution tonight. Tropic Isles Elementary, they're doing a trunk or treat, and we know some people over there, so we thought it would be really cool just at the end of the trunk or treat. There's a lot of families over there that need, and actually, surprisingly, if we look around, we open our eyes, there's a lot of people in Cape Coral, North Fort Myers, and Fort Myers that are in need, families that are in need. Absolutely. And we don't want to do things just to do things. We want to do things to meet a need. And a lot of those families have a need for food. And if we can provide, 50 to 100 pounds of food for a family, that is money that they don't have to spend or try to figure out how to make to spend to feed their family. And so it's a little bit of stress off mom and dad. It's kids having food in their belly and being able to take care of some of the most basic needs. Jesus says, feed my people. We are supposed to do some of the most basic things. And we actually just surpassed, as a church, both locations, over 1 million pounds of food since April or May. 1 million pounds of food that we've given away. We're giving away 20,000 pounds tonight at Tropic Isles. But that's one of the main things we do. Food distributions, we do them pretty regularly. Now, like you said, we'll do Christmas. For 2 schools this year. So we're going to do James Stevens.
Everybody who's watching.
Yes.
Donate, okay? Yes. PPTC, City First, donate to the toy drives.
100%. Because 2 schools, and we actually, this is what's really cool. We talk to guidance counselors and teachers at the schools, and we say, hey, which kids will not have Christmas if they are not given Christmas? If Christmas is not provided them, parents will not be able to get them presents. So, and they handpick these kids. We get their name. Well, we don't share their names with people.
Well, of course.
But we know who they are. We know their sizes for clothes. We know the things that they like, that they don't like. And we actually have people go shopping. This is what you guys were a part of last year.
Yeah, so amazing.
And we did it for James Stevens International Academy last year. We're going to do it again for them. And now we're going to do it for Tropic Isles.
Amazing.
Both schools that have huge needs. And what we'll do is, honestly, it depends on people's generosity, how many families that we can adopt or kids. These kids, bro, I'm telling you, these kids had a better Christmas than my kids last year.
I believe it. They killed it. I know that our group did.
Yeah, y'all gave bags and bags of
bags
toys.
And bags. I know, it's insane.
And each family, and this is what's really cool. So we obviously, we collect all these toys. People give financially towards it so we can go shopping, or people just go shopping. The coolest thing is this, bro. We're not the heroes. The kids don't even know the church gave it to them. We talk to those parents. We're like, hey, we give these huge Christmas bags of toys to the parents, and we make those parents They are the heroes.
Yeah.
The name tags are empty. They can write from mom and dad if they want to, or from Santa. We don't care.
Right.
We want the kids. Kids are supposed to have a great Christmas.
Yes.
They're supposed to have a stress-free time, at least portion of their
all joyous.
Christmas should be that. And if we can provide that and allow parents to be the heroes during that time, man, that is the most amazing feeling. So
yes,
any way people can give towards that, they can do it through your gym.
Yep. Just going to
through
City
First Church.
Whatever
they
it
can
is.
connect to our Cape Coral location because that is one of the most amazing things we do. We do school supplies drives at the beginning of the school year. We do other food drives. We do some stuff with veterans in the area.
That's amazing.
I mean, you name it, we try to do it. Single moms, battered women. A lot of that stuff is like under the radar, but we do that on a regular basis.
Yeah, no, it's so amazing because so many people need help, just like you were saying. And, you know, we see that here a lot. And maybe it's not food-wise here, but it's more like, you know, emotional and stuff like that. But it's so awesome, just like you're saying, to be able to see people in need get their need filled.
Yep.
You know, and just see them light up and just be like, wow, this is happening for us, you know. And it was so awesome to see how many people in general, not just from my gym, but in general, gave to that. I mean, I remember when I came in and brought all the toys, like literally an entire room where kids, like 2 services of kids are able to go, you know, are filled with toys. Like we couldn't even move around in there. I'll never forget it. It was the coolest thing ever. I thought, so now we're going to need to probably use the auditorium for the kids.
Let's do it, man.
Hey, I'm good with that.
More kids we get to bless.
Yeah,
more
man.
Families that feel taken care of.
Absolutely. And that's what it's all about. You know, that's why I think it's so awesome how you guys run as, you know, because I've been to church before, but you know, how you guys run as a church is like almost how I want to run as a fitness center. Like, you're so personable, and every message is to, you know, relate to somebody that, you know, like I was saying, we've been through something like that. Like, you've been through it, so you want to relate to them on that level. Like, and we feel that. So it's like so much of a different thing. Like, it's not just a friendly church, it's a family church. And it's so awesome to be able to spread that message. And, you know, if anybody looking for, you know, a church or something like that, or just to check it out, something to just be, you know, just tune into, be a part of, and just see, hey, maybe this is for me. And if you're still unsure, you know, weary of the COVID thing, we even got a bunch of things online that people are able to look at, you know, so they could even say, hey, are these messages even something I'd like, you know? We
have a lot of people, before they ever set foot in our doors, they'll go to cityfirst.church and they'll check out messages from Pastor Jer or other guest speakers, and that will give you a feel of kind of who we are at the church. And like you said, come as you are. The church is not a museum for perfect things. It's a hospital for broken people. A lot of people think that they have to get things right before they come to church. But you go to church to get things right. And all of us, including your pastors, we're on a journey, man. We are not perfect people. We actually say no perfect people allowed.
Right, exactly.
There's another place down the street that you can go to for that. Where all
go be perfect over there.
That just doesn't happen. It's not real, and we try to be real. Like, we try to be a real church.
And when you do see something going on like that, how does that situation get handled? Like, if somebody comes in, oh, you know, like, no, it's done this way or it's done that way, and they're kind of like, you know, being rude or to that extent.
You know, it's really easy to do that when you are a family church, when you're personable with people. I know most of the people at our church.
Yeah, absolutely.
If they want to be known. You know, if somebody doesn't want to be known,
they'll let you know.
Then exactly. Or they'll just scoot. They'll come in a little late, leave a little early, which is fine. You do you.
Yeah.
Like, it's no big deal.
100%.
But you know, we get sometimes, and no matter where you are, you can't make everybody happy. And people will say it needs to be deeper, or we need to talk about this, or we need to. But here's the thing, man. If honestly, people, myself included, all of us would just do the most basic things that Jesus asked us to do, then our city, our family, our churches, our community, our government, our politics, everything would be different if people just said, hey, I'm going to love God and I'm going to love people, because that's what he said to do. We want to learn about all these other crazy things in life and how to do them and get super deep and revelation and all this stuff, but Jesus just says, hey, just get the basics down.
Yeah, right. We're not smart enough to get the rest.
Just
of
be
that.
kind. I just want people to be kind
right.
people. When we get that down, we can move on to the next thing.
I mean, and that literally relates exactly to your message this past weekend.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you know, maybe you could talk to everybody about it, but like, just to give them insight, like loving your enemies, what is that like? Because everybody's in such a big, like, I don't even know what you want to call it right now, like almost like a crab
temper
like,
tantrum.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's a little ridiculous, but you know, to everybody who's in that, like, oh, I'm just angry, or you know, screw these people or screw these kind of people, you know, just based off of somebody you don't even know.
Yeah.
You know, based off of a politician, you know, don't even name names, just politician in general. Like, you know, people, you know, going at it with each other, you know, maybe speak about loving, you know, why is it? Because you're talking about doing the simple things, and God literally says, just like you said, love God and love people. Right. So for people who are going, like, how do you break it down? How do you take your personal feelings, I guess?
Sure.
And maybe how do you change the perspective to, like, maybe, it's okay for this person to feel that way?
I think something is, well, first of all, something we say, and this is relates, again, right back into your gym. Be better tomorrow than you were today. Like, everything that we want to do, no matter if it's physically or spiritually or health, be just a little bit better tomorrow than you are today.
So true.
And we see it in health all the time. It's no different in the spiritual aspect.
No different at all.
People want to be all the way down the road right now, right?
Right.
It's like, oh, I need to have the six pack, but everybody else wants, I want to be super spiritual, and I want to.
Yep.
We can't. You just need to be one day better and not get worse. And it's in every aspect of our life that we really need to work on that, and just say, okay, man, if I was not kind to somebody today, then I need to forgive myself and forgive them. I need to have a conversation. I need to take another step. I need to get a little bit better. I think that we try to complicate it a lot. Loving people think when we say, like God, like Jesus says very clearly, to love your enemies. He says it in Luke. He says it in Matthew. It was on the Sermon on the Mount. He talks about it several times. Love your enemies. It doesn't mean you have to be their best friend. It doesn't mean you have to hang out with them all the time. What it means that, and this is one of my lines that I talked about on Sunday, is if our actions as people are pushing other people further away from Jesus than pulling them closer in, then we're doing it wrong.
Right.
Like, and that's the biggest thing, man, is our actions, whether we believed strictly on them or not, whether it's political or health-wise or how we want to raise our families or how we're supposed to talk to people. Listen, it goes in every other aspect. We may have very strong beliefs on how things are supposed to happen, but if we're so strong on those beliefs that it's going to push people away from Jesus, then we're doing it wrong. You can still have those beliefs and you can still live that way, but that doesn't mean you have to force that on somebody else, so much so that if you call yourself a Christian, that they're going to look at Jesus worse because of it.
Right. That's a great way to put it.
I mean, right?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Like, we sometimes, I say this about athletes because I was a very prideful athlete when I was younger. I still struggle with pride. I feel like a lot of people who are fit,
alpha males,
or good at anything struggle with pride, right? Like, we're like, man, I look this way, or I can do this, or I'm this much, or even you can do that with intelligence as well. Like socially. Pride is one of the easiest things to say, I'm better than other people. And when we think that, then all of our other, it's not bad to have confidence. We have to have confidence, especially if you're an athlete. I have to have confidence as a leader. If you're going to lead people, you have to have confidence. But confidence and arrogance or cockiness are different things. So, but I feel like when we have this arrogance to think that we're always right, we push that on somebody else and make them think that they're wrong. And then when you do that, everything else kind of comes along with it. And
yeah, I think we all struggle with that.
We all do, bro.
Especially
myself included.
I definitely do. That is without question probably one of the hardest things for me. And you know, just like you said, it's just like fitness, you know, because if I stop reading for a while or not pray as much, because you know, I'm trying to get into the consistent thing where, you know, if I'm focused on something or really not sure how to take something or really not sure, I'm trying to pray about it, be more mindful of that, you know, and kind of give it, you know, it's not my thing to deal with sometimes, you know, and I also maybe to get a better perspective on the issue. But sometimes when you get far away from it, or even just a couple of days, it's just like the gym, just like you said, that couple days or that a week is like a year, it feels like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, Oh, okay. I was definitely missing this. Like you hit that Sunday and you're like, I hear you.
Right?
You know?
Yeah, but think about this. Here's a challenge to you. Because
Okay.
this is, like, when's the last time you missed a week working out?
I haven't.
All right. When's the last time you missed a week reading the Bible?
I haven't.
All right.
For a long since we've had discussions. So
Awesome.
I would say since I've been married and we went to the marriage counseling, all that kind of stuff, I've been consistent and I haven't missed a week. I would say,
Tell me why then.
oh man, because it feeds me.
There you go.
It feeds me. And I know that just like working out, like, because it's obviously repetitive, but it gets this to know that that's something you need.
Yep.
You know, I need this. Like that working out, I need it or I'm not going to feel good. I need to read the Proverbs in the morning or I'm not going to have my mindset to take on the day.
Yep.
You know, so it's kind of like you said, it literally goes hand in friggin' hand. Just like I take pre-workout every time before I work out. I'm
Right.
not going to feel the same if I don't have that
Right.
little bit of caffeine rush and get the blood going, you
You
know?
won't push yourself the
Won't
same.
push
Your
myself the
muscles
same.
won't respond the same. You
Fact.
won't be able to do any of that stuff.
It's a fact, man.
If you don't get some of God's wisdom in you in the morning, you're not going to treat people the same.
Fact.
You're not going to coach the same. You're not going to love your wife the same. And you're not going to love your kid the same.
Fact.
It's like,
And if I don't stop, I also notice if I don't stop to take those seconds, like, cause I'm a hot-headed Italian, man. I'm a freaking Guido. Like, I'm that first one to go,
right?
you know what I'm saying? So it's like, and I'm also alpha male. So it's like the both just come out and I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't play that. And sometimes even if you're right, that doesn't mean, just like you're saying, that doesn't mean that other person's necessarily wrong.
Sure.
Just means that maybe they didn't see it from that side of it.
right?
Right,
Like
exactly.
it doesn't mean a Democrat, a Republican, pro-life, pro-choice, like however you want to, like whether you like soccer or you like football, like
It doesn't.
everybody
right.
thinks differently, and just because they're different doesn't mean they're wrong. But
Just like they call
convictions
football
might
soccer.
be different. One of the things we were talking about on Sunday
Yes.
is like
Convictions might be
don't
different.
don't sit down with somebody, have a conversation to convince them that to believe like you. But maybe I believe this, when we pray for somebody, especially our enemies, then we're asking God, give me a perspective that's different than mine, because I'm seeing them through my eyes and they look jacked up right now. They look messed up. I can't fathom that somebody could even have that thought in their head and think that and it be right.
Yep.
But give me perspective, because I don't know. And when we pray and we ask God, He can give us a different perspective.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and it's so hard to do that in critical times, especially like when Riley was in the hospital.
Oh yeah, man.
Like, it's like, how do you handle a situation like that? My daughter's having seizures. My wife's in there after 2 weeks of giving birth, and I'm sitting outside,
right?
Because of something we can't
You're
even
like,
see.
I'm gonna jack somebody up right now.
I'm like, dude, let me in or I'm breaking your door. I promise. Like, and it was just like having that extra little bit of faith and just that little bit of extra patience allowed me to actually get time inside.
Sure.
Without flipping out and maybe possibly something bad happening.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, so it lets you take a different perspective, but it is very, very hard.
It doesn't have to make sense, man. There's rarely things that God does that actually make sense.
No, they
in our
do.
minds.
They do. I found this out, okay? I think they do. It's always in retrospect and hindsight, though.
Sure.
Always in retrospect and hindsight, unless you're looking for it during it. So I always have this thing. I listen to Inky Johnson all the time.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite guys to listen to, and he always talks about, what happens when God says yes and no.
Sure.
Like when he's like, no, not yet. We're going to go this way.
Yep.
And usually, like, if I'm late I'm never late to anything. So if I'm late to something, I try to have this perspective, like, God, what were you, like, saving me from?
Yeah.
Like, was I going to get into a car accident? Or, why did you make me leave later? Because I'm not late.
Sure.
So what's up with that? Or, why did this person leave the gym? Or why are 3 people coming in that need my help on this, this, and this?
Sure.
There's different questions that you can ask, and eventually down the line, it gets answered sometimes. And you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Like, just like I wasn't finding a gym, and all these gyms were all,
Yeah.
South Cape,
Yeah.
and now I have one right here next to
Right next to
my house, and then literally less than a month after that, we conceived.
Well,
It's just like
perspective is a lot, man, because we hear when we ask God for something, we're in a culture that says it needs to happen now. And a lot of times God
especially with this.
doesn't necessarily say no, He says not yet. So
Right.
if you change your perspective when we ask God for something, oftentimes when what the Bible says in Proverbs, if you're reading Proverbs all the time, you say we want God's desires to become our desires.
Yeah.
Right? So when we desire something, if we're trusting him, then we're believing that our desires are actually his desires if we're in line with him. And if we're asking for something that he's asking for us to desire, then it should happen, right? right?
Yeah, it should.
And then it doesn't happen. You're like, wait a second, God, you told me. Like, you put this inside
This is
of me.
definitely happening.
This is not my selfish desire. You told, like, you've given me this gift or this talent or this ability.
Or
so I'm
this
supposed
gym.
to do this.
Right.
You want me to be successful.
Right.
You want my gym to grow. You want me to have more clients. So God, why isn't it happening? Saying, you don't even see what I'm doing.
Right.
It's not a no. It's not that it's not happening. It's just not happening yet. It's not happening in your time. It's happening in my time.
100%, 100%. And it's so, once again, we can go on to so many more examples like this podcast I'm doing right now. We're about 10, 15 episodes in.
Yeah.
This is maybe the third one we've actually videoed. But before
I didn't even realize until halfway through.
Yeah,
oh my God, I should probably like not look like such a
No,
bum.
you're fine. but I always wanted to podcast, but never even knew how to get it started. And then one day, Kevin from the church, he said,
Ellis?
"Hey, no, his name is his last name is Morris."
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And he was like, "Hey man, me and my guys are getting together, doing this radio thing, and what we're doing is we're making an online radio. So instead of radio in your car, it'll be online. And instead of just having, like a specific like hip hop or country or whatever, we're gonna do a different thing. We're gonna have some podcasts on, and they're gonna be different podcasts. Like it'll be a fitness one like yours. It'll be like a hip hop one. It'll be about world. It'll be like world culture. Different things like that. And I'm like, dude, that is an awesome idea. And he's like, so how about you hop into it? I'm like, yeah, sure. And then 2 months later, he randomly hits me up, and I'm like, oh, I guess I should find some people to do some podcasting. And that kind of like pushed me into that. But it was like 2 years ago that I wanted to do this.
Sure.
And every time I went to go do it, something else popped up. Like, no, you need to take care of this first. And no, you need to take care of this first. This is more important. And it was leading me to this place, and now we're podcasting. So it's super crazy to see how things just work out. And like you said, never in your timing, but always in your favor, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So, I mean, we're always working on changing lives through the church and stuff like that. So maybe to get an endpoint just for people, maybe Pastor Chris Merz, where do you want to leave your legacy or your mark?
Well, I think first and foremost on my family. Like I feel like sometimes, I'm also like you're an alpha male, so you want to be successful in everything you do, whether it's work or play or, and I feel like sometimes as men we're very outward focused, and we look at what we're doing and we say we want that to be the biggest win. And now, don't get me wrong, like I believe God has called me to be a pastor, and I'm supposed to do that, and in that comes a great responsibility for people to shepherd a flock, and I do that. We sacrifice for that as a family. We know that is a calling for us. My kids sacrifice for that. Time with dad, time with family, us being gone, late nights, people over, going out all the time. Like we have something scheduled every night this week and for the past 3 weeks. Like it's how it is. We love it though. But I would say more than anything else that I do, my legacy is going to be in my family. That was I a good husband? Was I a good dad? Like I want to make sure that like those two answers are yes. Like no matter what I do, yes, I want to be a great pastor. Yes, I want to reach many people. I want to make them better husbands, wives, moms, dads, brothers, sisters. I want that to happen.
Change lives. Yeah.
But I also believe that the way God sets up this kingdom is that those things can't actually be as successful as they should be unless I'm successful at home. So I need to be the best dad that I can possibly be. I need to be the best husband that I can possibly be, because he entrusted me with my wife Abby, my daughter Kinley, and my son Zeke. And I need to make sure that my legacy can go through with them. Like I have more influence with them than any other person should have. I better treat them better than I treat anybody else. Like I better love Abby better. Like that is how it is supposed to be. So my legacy, first and foremost, is with my family. And I want that to live on through my wife and through my kids. And because that is how you multiply exponentially, right? You allow them to then take your legacy, how they were raised, how they were loved and supported, and be able to do the exact same thing. Now I get to do that in many because I'm so blessed. I get to do that at church, man.
Yeah.
Like I get to know people like you and like Roy, and I've got great friends. We've got families like
amazing.
Like the Petito crew is my family, bro.
Yeah, definitely.
Like it's my extended family. Seriously,
100%.
bro. Your mom and dad and Randy and
They're-
your sister,
we're
like
all family.
But
man.
but that's crazy is like that's just one. Like we got so many families,
and we're also intricated in a lot of those families
Yeah.
too. We're also plugged right into those families as well.
So like I believe that my legacy first and foremost is my family, blood, but also my family in church.
I love
Like
it, man.
being able to pour into people, like Jesus says it in his scripture, right? If you want to have life, give it away. If you want to hold on to your life, you have to give it away. You have to give your life away, your time away, your resources away. You got to give financially. You have to give your talent. You have to give those things away. So that's how we see our life. Like we give our time away. We spend time with people. We give our resources away. We give financially to people, to the church. We have to give our talents away. What God has blessed us with talent-wise, we better be using that to love other people and get them closer to Jesus.
Yeah.
Like that's what we do. That's our legacy. Anything that God has given us, that we pass it on to other people, whether that's physical, emotional, spiritual. Like we have to do that. That's our legacy should be that we're unselfish people, that we're people loving others, and that we made an impact on the people around us.
I love it, man. Oh, as always, an amazing message from Pastor Chris Merz. Such an awesome time speaking with you, man. I'm sure we'll have you back on in the future at some point.
I'd love to be.
But thank you so much for your time
real
today,
quick,
dude.
if
Yes.
people are listening, 121 Del Prado Boulevard.
Yes.
Sundays, 9:30, 11 o'clock. Come as you are, man. You can come dressed up like shorts, t-shirt. You don't have, if you don't want to brush your teeth, I mean, don't get too close to me, but that's up to you. No, but we have a lot of fun on Sundays, but come check us out. We'd love to see you.
We really do have a lot of fun, and you feel welcome walking in the doors. I can attest to that 100%. As you know, I don't get anything out of promoting this, so
exactly.
I just want to let everybody know, this is not promotional. This is just
Here's the 20.
from the heart. Yeah, thank you so much, man. I needed it. No, it's just straight from the heart, guys, and just really trying to build just that tight-knit community of people who are trying to give back and trying to help the next person become better. So such a great message, and come join City First Church. Come check us out.
The sign is true. It says everybody's welcome.
Everybody's welcome.
Doesn't matter what your past looks like.
That's right, guys. We'll see you next time.
See ya.